So initially my channel was all about travel. It was all about sharing stories from across the world. But right now I'm going to share a story that changed my life forever. It was the most life altering incident of my life. It's all going to be unfiltered, so keep up. I hope if this video has hit your wall, then there is a reason why, and not because you need to hear my sadness or you need to give me some sort of empathy or sympathy or some sort of, oh my god, I'm so sorry for you. I don't want that. I want you to hear the story because it's important for every child or everyone who cares for their loved one to understand that this could happen to you too. And yeah, so I'm going to talk about the entire thing that happened to me in the last almost 75 days. My life has completely changed. I'm in a different world altogether. I'm in a different zone of my life. And I think it's not only made me mature emotionally, but also I've become so much more stronger. And I did not think that this side of me also could come out. And there is so much strength in life. I didn't believe it. And also, my faith in God completely changed after this whole thing happened to me. So let's begin from the beginning. Let's begin from the 10th of September 2025, where my life changed completely. So let me give you a little background to what exactly happened. So, like every year, my parents and I go for our dream holiday. We actually take an annual break and we take an international trip to a destination we choose together. And so this time it was the USA, at the United States of America, and Costa Rica, which was always on my bucket list. And I was super, super excited about this one. Okay, so the US part got over and we were in Costa Rica on the 8th of September, and a couple of days out, and on the 10th was when everything changed. On the 10th of September morning, three of us had gone for this coffee tour, and by the way, Costa Rica is famous for its coffee and incredible weather. And oh my god, the country is beautiful, trust me when I say this. And later on, when I actually put up those videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, on the 10th, we had gone for this coffee tour. It was incredible. My cousin took us, and it was just one of those beautiful views that, one could imagine. So you would understand how coffee is made, how it's grown, and, the whole process. Anyway, coming back, also you need to understand that Costa Rica is on a high altitude. Unlike other countries, this country is on a high altitude. So you might feel some sort of uncomfort, especially if your ears get, closed at some point, or you feel that pressure. So that actually you will feel over a period of time if you're in the country, you first time visit especially. Like, you know how you feel it in the airplane? Anyway. So on this evening, we were all chilling. So basically, my dad's brother, my uncle, stays in Costa Rica in the main city, San Jose. So he has this townhouse, which is a two-leveled house. On the ground floor and the first floor, and then they have a beautiful garden. So we were all having a good evening in the beautiful garden, and my mom said, "Okay, I'm going to the washroom." She leaves for the washroom, and this is when the story begins. And I kept staring at where she was sitting, and I'm like, why hasn't she come? What's going on? You know. And suddenly my cousin Amit goes like, "Where's your mom?" And I'm like, I don't know. Let me go check. And I go upstairs. I keep knocking the bathroom door. Mama, 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 mama. I hear nothing. 50, 60 times I kept doing mama, 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 and here my heart was sinking because I felt something went down south. Okay, so I suddenly hear this pain, and I just knew there was something wrong. I ran down, I screamed out for help, and luckily their bathroom door can be opened from outside either through a nail or a coin, and you don't actually need like a key or something to open it. So which is great, thank God to that. And so Amit's wife, Sapna, she opens this door, and this is where my entire world collapsed. I The first thing that I saw was a pool of blood. My mom is lying down there. She's hit on the left side of her head. I don't know how she fell in that bathroom. And her pants were half up. Now, what I could think at that time, I didn't think, but later when I thought about it, it could be that she got up from the seat and she fell and, she was lying down there. Here's when I think two, three things, right? One, if we had, it was 5 more minutes, would I have lost her? Why didn't we know what happened? Whenever she feels a little unwell, she always calls me to stay outside the washroom. Why didn't she do it this time? What happened inside the washroom? Nobody knows. At this point, my mom was in a pool of blood. My dad was in shock outside the door. Okay, I'm the only child here, you should know something. So I'm absolutely in this position where I think I'm going to lose both my parents, one in a pool of blood and one in absolute shock. And I'm just praying to God, and I'm just praying that please something, I'm getting everything together in terms of my aunt comes in. I told her to get towel to hold my mom's head up so that she can keep responding. If she doesn't respond, there is a serious problem there. I screamed out for the ambulance, so my cousin called for the ambulance. It was raining cats and dogs at that night. There was thankfully a neighbor who was a doctor. She came in, so she gave us the first aid to be done in terms of keeping her head up and keeping to talk to her. Otherwise, if she loses consciousness, it can be very, 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 very dangerous. I'm screaming out. I'm looking at my dad. My mom is inside. My aunt and another cousin's wife, Sanjay's wife Stephanie, they're holding her together. I am panicking. Everything is going down south. I'm absolutely in a shock right now, but I have to keep myself together. I have to get everything together. Okay, so then finally the ambulance comes. There's help. We are on the first floor, so first thing, we had to evacuate her from the bathroom. We got her out, pulled her pants up, and she said something at that point. I want, and then she couldn't say what she wanted. I really wanted to know what she wanted to say. Anyway, we got her to sit, and somehow we pulled her down the stairs and got her into the ambulance. I was sitting in the ambulance with her, with this one emergency doctor there who is taking notes. Again, language is such a barrier. In the car behind was Amit, was my dad, was Stephanie. They were on the way behind the ambulance. We were all going, and the ambulance is about 15. The hospital was about 15 minutes away from the house. We reached the hospital, and then another set of things happened. A series of things happened, in fact. My mom is laid onto the emergency bed, and they are trying to treat her with the first aid or whatever first protocol, and she gets a seizure attack. The first seizure attack. They're cleaning her, second seizure attack. And this time it was worse than the first one. I was watching this. I can't even explain to tell you how painful, how shocked I was. I couldn't cry, I couldn't express myself, I couldn't do anything. I called up my two best friends at that point. I called up my best friend Muskan, who is in Edinburgh. I called up my best friend in India, Assis. I said, dude, I just pray we get out of this because I'm in a mess right now. I explained what happened till then. And then the doctors came in, and this was by the time it was midnight there. And the doctor tells us that mom had a brain hemorrhage. That is, her left side of her brain has is started to pressure the right side, and if we don't operate her, she can, you know, anything can happen basically. And at this point, of course, there was absolutely no choice. And the other thing was, my dad called up our family doctor. They spoke. Thankfully, my family doctor, Dr. Nath, uncle, he knows Spanish really well. So in Spanish, they communicated. Both the doctors spoke and took the decision that this has to be done right away. However, the doctor told us that there was only 40% chance that my mom would survive this. Okay, so let's continue. Um, they had already stabilized her, but before they had to operate her, there was a clause. They asked us to give $60,000 in advance before the operation starts, or get a writing from the travel insurance that they are going to pay up for the entire procedure. That night was the most unresting night of my entire life. I am 31 years old, and for someone who's been pampered like a child, and also the fact that everyone around me would treat me like one and always tell me that sab theek ho jayega, and they would just help me out, get out of situations. Right now, I had to fix the situation. Kept calling the travel insurance back to back, begging them to send the letter that they are going to pay. There's something called GOP, guarantee of payment. The calls were back and forth. We had to keep calling people, taking out some sort of uh, someone known in the company, send it to the higher authority, get this done right away. It was not a scratch ki we just bandage it and it's going to be fine. She was literally struggling with life and death at this point, and I only had two things to do at that point. One, call the travel insurance, keep pestering them, please send the GOP so that they can start their job. If they don't, my mom is going to die. And the other thing that happened in this process was that I kept like begging to God at this point, please, please, just get us out of this. I can't, like, I don't know what's happening. A whole dream trip turns into a nightmare. No one can imagine this. Anyhow, we get through the travel insurance by 6:30 in the morning. Thank God to that. It was all in place. Through a lot of calls, a lot of emails back and forth, a lot of form signings, a lot of information, everything, we get to the travel insurance. And this is where I want to tell everybody, whenever you travel anywhere in this world, please, please, please get yourself a travel insurance. It is very, very, very important. Even if you are not hurt, you're hurt, doesn't matter. A travel insurance can save you $1 million. It can save a life. It can save you from a lot of trouble. Trust me when I say this. Anyhow, okay, this went through, and finally she had gone into the operation theater. The entire night we were awake, we were just going through it. I sent my dad home with my cousin. I said, listen, just go home, just relax. I'm going to be here till she gets into the room. You go rest. Once she's in the room, I will call you. And this point of time, we're just praying that she gets through the operation. She doesn't have any kind of seizure attack, nothing, and she's outright absolutely fine. At this point, I had like I'd completely gone blank. And then, after a couple of hours, the doctor comes out and he says the operation was successful. It was a sigh of relief. They shifted her to the room. She obviously was on sedatives, was on a ventilator. She was on a lot of tubes and a lot of injections, everything. So she was full of tubes, she was full of bandages, she was basically in a state no daughter should see their mother, or no son should see their mother in this situation. Because trust me, when you see your parent struggling on a hospital bed, it is the worst thing you can imagine. It was, what was it? It was some sort of curse, it was some sort of bad karma, it was from the previous life. It was, what was it that she was in this situation? I have no idea. No one has an idea as to where, how did she end up in this situation, who cursed her. I have to, before I even continue as to where this story goes, I have to tell you one thing. Whoever in this world knows my mother, they know she is a sweetheart. She is the nicest person you'll ever meet. She doesn't say anything bad about anybody. She keeps to herself. She's such a pretty lady. She is the nicest woman, from her heart, from her face, from her entire soul system, that no one in this world can say anything bad about her. That is how beautiful she is as a human. And there she was lying on that bed, which tore me apart at that point of time. And I didn't know what to do, where to go, who to speak to, because absolutely I had to be a strong pillar for my father, for her, for her to be where she is on that hospital bed. I had to just keep myself together. I couldn't even cry, even for a second. I had to get through this as soon as possible. I had to just keep myself strong at this point. My mom always said this to me, that I'm very naive, as per my mom, and she always used to say that I want you to be very, very strong in life. And this is not the way to make me strong, dude. What the hell? Like, you make me strong in other ways. Don't make me strong by you being on that hospital bed. Every night I would and so you could stay in that room. So the days, my aunt or my dad would take turns and stay the day, and in the night after dinner till the morning, I would stay the entire night in case mom needs anything happens in the hospital. And then, of course, there are nurses and who are there, who would keep checking in and out of her. But those nights were the darkest nights of my life, of my entire existence. It was just the most heartbreaking thing at this point. And even till today, it's been what, 75, 80 days. At 2 o'clock in the night, I still hear the tee, tee, tee from all those machines that were put on her, and nurses walking in and out. It still lingers in my ear every day at 2 o'clock in the night, and it's not gone yet. I don't know when it'll go. I don't know when that there'll be calmness in my entire system. I don't know till when I will get it out of my system, but I'm just telling you how difficult it can get. So this goes on for 10 days, that she's unconscious. She wakes up. Now this is really beautiful. She starts to wake up from her unconsciousness, and slowly and steadily she's able to express herself a little by little. Though there are tubes around her, though she's bruised and injured and all those things are happening, but she had opened her eyes. This was the biggest gift God could give me at this point. Thank God she opened her eyes. And slowly she started to, there's no strength in her voice, obviously. So little by little, she's trying to say something that you can't really understand, but you know she's trying to tell you something. And it was getting clear and clear. This was till the 13th day. 2-3 days we really saw improvement, and I mean improvement to a point where they could make her sit on a recliner chair with help, of course, and they could put her back on bed. Ventilators were coming out slowly. They were so ventilator was still there, but it was like a life support ki in case she cannot breathe, it will start showing signs and it will automatically switch on. And tubes were getting off slowly and steadily. Her blood pressure was coming to normal, her heart rate was coming to normal, and she was actually getting better. So this was the 13th day when there was a TV in the room, and we had put her favorite Pakistani shows that she absolutely loves, and we made her wear her specs, and she was enjoying her show and everything. And she was actually, we could see such a drastic improvement in her, and even the nurses and the doctors thought, wow, how can someone recover so fast? And this is amazing. And we were actually thinking that in 2-3 weeks, she'll be fit to travel and we can take her home. But life had other plans. On the 14th day, she had her blood pressure shot up thrice. Once in the afternoon, once around 11 o'clock in the night, and then 3 o'clock in the morning. And the 3 o'clock in the morning was the one that changed everything. It shot up to 300. This is where it got even more difficult. Before I tell you the next part, I also have to tell you that the doctor detected that she had hypertension, which no one had detected before this whole accident happened, because hypertension and high blood pressure never comes as like, it doesn't give you signs, it just comes suddenly. And my mother being my mother, and I have to tell you, it's to all mothers who are so selflessly loving their family and don't care about themselves, please start caring about yourself. My mom never went to the hospital other than giving me birth. Trust me. She always used to be like, I'm fine, sab kuch theek hai, I'm okay, I don't need to go to the hospital, I don't need to get my checkups done, I'm fine. Dude, you're not fine. Why don't people get their checkups done? Seriously, yearly checkups are important. This is where the harsh reality is. Please, if you love somebody, if you really care about somebody, please get their health checkups done, because this can really come when it falls out like a volcano. It bursts, your entire life will come down, like literally come down into pieces, and you will absolutely have no escape. This is what happened to me, because my mom never cared. My mom always said she was fine, and this is when things went absolutely down south. It all happened so suddenly. Anyway, so that night her BP went to 300, and I had to call my call Sapna up, saying that please come, I need you right now in the hospital. My mom isn't in a state. I sent her a picture. I said, see the picture, please come, I really need support right now. She rushed to the hospital. The nurses were making me sit like as if something could happen. Doctors were there. I still have the image in my head. I have videos of everyone like literally looking at her and hoping she stabilizes, putting all the tubes possible to calm her down, injections, everything to get her stabilized. Within an hour, they were able to stabilize her. Okay. Now, the next part comes. This is where the story takes a second chapter, or the third chapter, or whatever you call it. The next morning, now you know what happened after they got a GOP from the travel insurance that I spoke to you about pehle. The travel insurance said, since you were there only for 8 days, and only you've paid for 8 days, and there's no auto extension for this insurance, we will only pay you for the number of days she's been in the hospital within the days. you paid for the travel insurance. So our trip was supposed to be for 8 days, and I took the insurance like that. But on the second day she was hospitalized, so second to eighth, that is 6 days. Only they were ready to pay for those 6 days and not beyond. We were like, dude, so are you really going to tell me that somebody is struggling for money right now, struggling for a life right now, struggling for to be like stabilized right now, you will not pay? There was pressure from the hospital, the public hospital that we were in. Okay, I'm just gonna hold this right here. Okay, so continuing the story. So this travel insurance decides to tell me, अब मैं नाम भी ले लेती हूँ. It's Tata Insurance. Yeah, Tata AIG. Clearly, I will tell you the name. Okay, so they are telling us that they'll only pay for these certain days. They will not pay beyond because there's no auto extension. While in their whole contract, it's written that there'll be an auto extension in case the patient is hospitalized, etc. And we are fighting this case with them over emails like a crazy person. I'm just going back and forth with these emails, and it is like, there's pressure from travel insurance, there's pressure from that private hospital, there's pressure of my mom struggling for life and death, there's pressure from everywhere right now. Where does one person go? Even if we try to get money into the country, it is very difficult. The problem here is that if you try to get money into the country, there is a problem that the country thinks that you're doing it for mafia, or there is some sort of drug dealing happening. There's a lot of complications in Costa Rica in terms of bringing money into the country. So it was absolutely a very difficult situation. Anyhow, we told the hospital give us couple of days more. We paid them about $10,000 at this point extra beyond that GOP that was given by the insurance company, and said that give us more days until this is resolved. Till then my mother gets better and we get her out of here. But no one would hear us. No one would. There was, all doors were closed at this point, and the last resort was to shift her to a public intensive care. And that, I think, was God's plan, because it was the best decision in the world. Because here we were pressurized for money, we were pressurized for my mom's survival. We were in a very bad situation right at this point. So finally, this hospital stabilized my mom, and we were sent to the public intensive care. The second hospital, which was called San Juan de Dios. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how good those people were. They brought my mom in. She got admitted. But here's where the twists happen. My mom, there was a cyst that was found in her lower abdomen, which was about 4 to 6 centimeters, which was an absolute shock because it could be cancerous as per them. But thankfully it wasn't, but it needed to be removed at some point. But okay, this can wait for some time. But my mom had pneumonia for the second time, and the biggest thing that happened, my mom's brain artery was bursted. It was bursted because of the high blood pressure and the pressure that happened through that particular day, and she was absolutely gone back to ground zero, actually minus at this point. And then it was time for a lot of things to change in our lives at this point. She went back into unconsciousness. She was back on sedatives. She was back on those heavy tubes. She was back into the ICU, and she was back on the operation table. This point, ladies and gentlemen, the chances of my mom's survival were only 5%. You know, I wish that no one in this world has to sign those papers that say that your mom's getting operated and she might not survive. I wish no one signs that paper again. I wish no one has to sign those papers ever in their life. Anyway, so she gets into the hospital, she gets into this operation, and I'm telling you, my mother has some sort of crazy willpower. She is one of the strongest ladies I've ever heard of, met. She is a woman full of miracles. She survived this too. Oh my god, that was the happiest moment of her life. She survived it. But the we had to be careful because the next 20 days were the time period where, okay, so my mom, you know, I'm telling you at this point, prayers worked for her. Her kindness worked for her willpower worked for her, everything worked towards her, that she survived another big operation. This could have changed her life, our life forever. But God has been kind. It was all God's plan. I always say God's plan. Like Rinku Singh says, it's all God's plan. Okay, so now she's on ventilator, but now they have to take another operation where I can't pronounce this, but there is a way of breathing from your neck. So they removed her ventilator and she started to breathe. They did this operation where she could breathe from her neck, because too long if the ventilator is kept, it can create infection in the body and it can really affect your organs. You should know that if you were ever in the hospital, ever anyone, and I hope never that happens, but if it ever happens, you should know that this also happens to people. Okay, and then she also had got some sort of bacteria in her body, due to which she was kept in isolation. And this is called NDM. Before this entire incident, I never heard of this virus called NDM. It's called New Delhi something, and it apparently happens when oxygen doesn't go in the body, or there are too many pipes or something, and that's exactly what happened to her also. And also, I think and let me tell you one thing, we are Indians, right? We have 40,000 bacteria in our body, man. We are not like pure like these foreigners or something. Everywhere we are just attracting bacteria. Where is it that we have a pure life? Here the pollution is like goes up till 800, 900. People are wearing masks. We are literally, anything we touch is full of bacteria. So please, saying that we have some sort of bacteria, it's pretty obvious that we are prone to all these things. But anyway, so it's the hospital's protocol, and later on we got to know that this is completely fast and stupid. It is just part of the hospital process. So they had to, save other patients, like they had to not let other patients get feel that they will also get some sort of bacteria. But trust me, hospitals are full of bacteria. Whether you keep my mom in isolation or whether you keep things separate, somehow it will reach if it has to. So there is no escape to that. Anyhow, so this continues, and we are now on the 45th day, where her tubes are slowly to come out. She started to breathe on her own. She survived all these traumatic experiences. She's been shifted to a normal room, and even the pipe from the throat was removed by the 50th day, and she was now going to start solids as per the doctors and nurse. But this is where the story changes. My mom did not recognize any of us. She only would keep staring at the wall, and there was nothing that she would do She would only keep staring at the wall. I would keep going to the hospital, visit her. Now in public hospital, there is this thing that you have only visiting timings. So I could only see her for 1 hour, and that hour was the most difficult to see her in a situation which was completely so fast for me. The thing was, when I was looking at my mom, I was not looking at my mom. I was looking at somebody I couldn't recognize. My mom was absolutely not there. It was some patient on a bed who I would just beg out that please give my mom back. It was that bad. She would just keep staring at the wall. There was no response, no reaction. There was nothing that was coming out of her. And a couple of days later, like my dad and I decided, I think we need to take her home because we can't stay here forever, number one. Number two, now that she's off all the pipes, we'll figure out a way of getting her back home. So we were getting her paperwork done, and we went to see her in the room. And at this point, there was a miracle. My mom saw my dad, and suddenly she could recognize him. There was crying, there was a smile, there was this emotion, burst of emotions at this point where he saw her, she saw him, and everything changed. You know, when I say that there is love in this world, I've seen it. There is something called soulmates. I've seen it between my parents. I used to believe it only happened in with my grandparents, but this was my own parents who were absolutely in love with each other, and love changed the entire scenario of our life. My mom started responding. It was the happiest day of our lives. Like, she started to respond finally. She started to give a response. Like, I was the happiest at this point. There was this dance in my heart. There was this feeling of hope back again. Because trust me, when I'm telling you all this, there were points in this whole situation where we thought we had completely lost her. Lost her to a point where there was no hope at all left. Like, she was in pain, she was not responding, she was going through the hardest surgeries of her life. She was in a situation where I don't know if we could get her back. I don't know what it was. And when I'm telling you this, I'm also telling you one more other thing, right? Till you're not going through the situation, you will not understand the pain that the person is going through. Because when you see your own person, your own anchor, your own family member in that situation, you're absolutely in shams. Like, you are like, shit. Like, what is happening? Like, why is this happening to me? What? We also at some point felt that someone cursed us or something. Someone was doing that bad to our family, that my mom is in this situation. We kept praying, and there was this one particular there's this one particular thing that I used to do every day. So there was a chapel in the hospital. Every time I used to meet my mom, I used to go to that chapel, pray to Jesus, pray to God as an almighty, that please do right by my mom and do right by us, because it was just not in our hands. We were helpless. We were only on the mercy of doctors and God at this point, because what do we do? What can we do? Anyway, so this is where the miracle happens, when my mom starts responding after she sees my dad. All this while, my dad wasn't going to the hospital, the public hospital especially, because I was keeping him away from all the bacteria. My dad has a heart issue, right? And he's 60 now, and I just couldn't lose another parent, and I just couldn't get into another trouble, and I just couldn't get into another situation where I had no strength to get through it. There was a point then in my life where I surrendered to God completely. मैं शिव जी की बहुत बड़ी भक्त हूँ. शिव जी is my God. He's everything to me. Whenever I've been in trouble in life, I've always gone to him, and he's fixed everything in my life. At this point, I just told him, I said, if you consider me your daughter, and if you consider me something, your devotee, anything that you consider me, I surrender to you completely with my hands open, because all my strength is with you. So let us pass through this difficult time. Do right by my mom. Whatever you choose for all of us, we shall accept. And trust me, the words are very hard to say or to believe, but it had to happen. The point when I surrendered to God, He just started to fix everything one by one. My mom's willpower was at the highest at this point. My dad was, his prayers to his Hanumanji, my prayers to my Shivji, though they are the same at the end of the day. Prayers to every single God in this world. We were just praying that we get out of this situation. It was getting so bad. And in this period of time, my mom's Navratras went past by. I think her Mata Rani really gave her strength. This was the first Diwali we were out of the country. We were not in our own house, in fact. This was the first time my house was not lit. This was the first time we were out of my house for the longest time of our lives. This was the time I left my two babies, my Candy and my Cookie, my cat and my dog. They are my two babies. I left them with our house help for the first time, for the longest time in my life. And all we had to balance out was business at home. What's happening at home, I had to also balance out taking care of mom. Everything was at stake at this point. So much pressure, so much happening in life, didn't feel like it was going to end. Like I keep saying, God's plan is the best plan, and He had a plan for all of us. I think over this period of time, two things really happened to me. I got a lot of strength. I became one of the most strongest person I couldn't imagine I would. And that my dad and I could get along. I mean, I love my dad a lot. My dad loves me. But we always used to get into arguments because we both were very high on our, like, we were very vocal about our thoughts. So we would always clash. But at this point, we had become a team. We had become a unit, and we were both fighting for my mom at this point. We would both spend so much time talking about mom, talking about encouraging each other, about strength, about looking out for each other, looking out for her. It was insane how both of us had really bonded to a next level. I had become so strong over this period of time that it just took a different level. Okay, so now what happens now that mom started to recognize everyone? Not everyone. I mean, let's start with while we try to talk to her and ask her if you remember these people in your life and everything, and she would give a hi and now from her facial expression. Unfortunately, till at this point, she couldn't really speak from her throat because of so many pipes going in and so much trauma that she has faced. It was very difficult for anything to come out of her voice. And also her right hand had become paralyzed, so it was literally like this. Okay, and we would try to open her fingers because we wanted her to start working, start operating, but all this can happen only through proper physiotherapy. And even her right leg had some sort of paralysis, but it started to move now, and her left side is, thank God, functional, and she can use her left hand to eat or to, you know, at least move. So that is what happened till this point. And she was fit to fly, so we got a certificate from the hospital. We got in touch with this company called iCat, who provide help with air ambulances, doctors, any kind of medical support to bring any patient from any foreign country to their own country, even within the country that they do give these services, which actually changed a lot of things for us. Initially, when my mom was not recognizing anybody and she was in this vegetable position, we thought we'd figure out an air ambulance, which, let me tell you, is so expensive. Even the other thing that we did was not very, like, I shouldn't say it was cheap, but it was a better source, and it was much easier for us to do that because air ambulances don't go to Costa Rica. We had to fly her or take a road trip till Panama from Costa Rica, which was 13 hours on road, and then from Panama there was 2 flights that were to be taken back to India through an air ambulance, which literally was like the biggest hole on a pocket you can imagine. But lucky us and God's plan and her recovering so fast in those last 15 days, I could say, that we could take her on a business class flight. So these 2 doctors came from India, and professional doctors. They came, they saw her situation one day before we had to fly her out. So those 2 doctors and her were in business class. My dad and I were in economy. And they gave us a package of an amount that they would bring her from the hospital to hospital. And finally, my mom is now in Delhi. She's admitted in one of the best hospitals in Delhi NCR. She's being treated by one of the best neurosurgeons in the country. And their team has been extremely amazing with mom. Extremely caring towards her, and they are working on her to get physically and in all ways just getting her back to her how she was before all this trauma happened to us. I know life wouldn't be the same, and I know that there is still a long way to go for her to completely recover. But I have complete faith in God, and I have complete faith in the doctors, and I have complete faith in life that everything will happen at the right time and at the right moment, and she'll be absolutely fine. And I would be taking pictures with her and posting out from this crazy space very soon. And we would be smiling, and we would be back to our how we were together. We would go out for lunches, we would spend these shopping dates, we would talk about all my nonsense. And in fact, it's so funny, I have spoken to her about so many nonsensical things and rubbish, literally, just to get a reaction from her, just to, like, for her to just, वो 3 Idiots में याद है how this उसको बोलते थे कि तेरी बहन की शादी पक्की हो गई है. I would keep telling nonsense to my mom like this, like I found some guy, I'm getting engaged, some nonsense like that or something or the other, so that she finally says अब तो झूठ बोलना बंद कर दे, I'm fine. That's exactly what I'm trying to do with mom. I just wanted to come back, man. I just wanted to come back. And in this process, I have to thank a lot of people actually, because without them and without their support, I don't think we would have gone through this easily. I have to firstly tell you, if my uncle and auntie were not staying in Costa Rica, their family wasn't there, my parents and I would have collapsed. Everything would have gone. The, it was that difficult. Language was such a barrier, but their family was so helpful that they would help us translate, would get through. Of course, Google Translate is a blessing, but human translation was so much more important. Their support whenever we would lose hope or we didn't have the strength, Amit would go to the hospital to get things done. He would be there with my dad. He would keep making, help me, just distract me. His wife Sapna, their kids, Ansh and Krish, they just brought a smile to our face. They would always be there with us and they would always have our backs, and that was the biggest support system we could ever encourage and ask for. My cousin from US specially flew down to Costa Rica to be for a couple of days to to be with our family, to visit mom in the hospital, to be there at all times. Asha auntie, my bua, all the people who called us every single day to check on us, that how is mom doing, how are you doing. You know, the question always I wish people don't ask is how is mom doing, is actually more than how are you doing, because when it comes down to us at the end of the day, because sometimes you just need someone to ask you how you are doing, because mom is going through her own thing, we are going through our own pain. With mom being in the hospital for that long, my dad and I literally just needed comfort. We just needed someone to look out for us. We looked out for each other for sure, but looking someone to look out for us as a third person was so much more than anything in this world. And trust me, all the people I'm naming one by one are the nicest and the kindest people in our lives. And here I'm telling you, you really know who your real friends are and who are not. I have to give a special mention to Sandeep uncle, my dad's golf friend. And now I can call him a part of our family. I have to actually message him to tell him thank you so much for being a part of our journey, because he literally was there at every single point of time. On the phone, he would be there with through and through with my dad. He would keep checking on dad. He would keep making sure the ICAT company was doing their job. He would make sure that my dad took the correct decision. He would make sure, because my dad was not in a position to actually take certain decisions, and even if he would consult me, I would also not have the bandwidth to give a correct answer for anything. I'll tell you another thing. When I tell you that this was a very expensive process, पैसा तो आ जाएगा, माँ और बीवी तो एक ही है ना. मेरे लिए माँ तो एक ही है और पापा के लिए वो उनकी बीवी एक ही है. In fact, recently, like now that we are back in India, on that, I think the second day, my dad just told me one thing. You're my daughter, I get everything, right? But if I lost Sona, my wife, I would have collapsed. Like, my world would have collapsed. Nothing in this world matters to me more than her. किसी चीज में मजा नहीं है क्योंकि वो नहीं है मेरे साथ. I don't want anything but I want her next to me. And I see that. I swear when I tell you this is the kind of love and this is the kind of relationship I admire and I aspire to have, where my partner loves me in sickness and health and is completely next to me, and we are solely connected, that nothing, even in the worst case scenario, you'll still love that person unconditionally. It's not about the physical love, it's only about that soul connection you have with this person, and this person can like drive you to do better in life. And that is the kind of relationship you look out for, that respect, that loyalty, that bond that nothing can take away from you. And that is what I learned in life, that no matter what, your partner is somebody who really has to be the best thing in the world. When you are in the most difficult situation or in any kind of situation, he or she, in a like he in my case, because I like guys, but he is there with you all the time and would always be the hand that would never leave you alone. And that is the most beautiful lesson of my life, that no matter what in this world, choose your partner wisely. Anyway, so that is one of those parts that I wanted to say. The other thing also is that okay, now that I was thanking people, I also have to thank my friends. Most importantly, so many of them. I realize that I really have been lucky when it comes to some beautiful friendships that I've gained, and the ones that I've lost, I don't know what happened there, but I know the ones that I have are so beautiful. So, starting with Muskan, Assis, Piyusha, Surbhi, this Niharika, Shivai, people I could count on. My family, Amit, Sapna, Sanjay, Stephanie, the kids, Mia, Martina, Anshan, Krish, Ashok uncle and Komal auntie, my cousins, Saikadi, Achish bhaiya, my dad's friend Nishu uncle, my family beyond friends, Raju uncle, Payal auntie, Tilu uncle, Urvashi auntie, my bond with their kids, Aisha, Mehak, Tisha, Yashi, everybody who came out to message me. If I'm missing any name, I'm sorry, but there has been so much happening in my life that I absolutely have no count on the kind of gratitude I have for the people who cared for me, for my family, for the amount that they have pushed us and they have always checked on us. That was so important. Having a set of family that has absolute strength and absolute courage to hold you together, that is true family and that is true friendships that you gain. And I'm so grateful and I have so much gratitude for all the people that have been checking on us every single time and have been praying for my mom. Wait, I also have to thank somebody very special, our house help Gangaram, and all the house help that we have, Latif, Pandit, Geeta, Rekha, everybody. My Amsterdam family, everyone who has prayed for my mom every single day, have put in so much of their soul and their heart into just praying for mama to get better. It's been an incredible journey. It has been the most heartbreaking, but the most life-turning journey of my life. And I hope that if you get this video on your timeline or you're able to go through this video till the end, you know that you will learn a lot of lessons over my unfiltered conversation. And I hope that it never comes to you, this situation, but if it does, you're well prepared for everything that will come your way. But do believe that there is faith and there is miracles that can happen in life. And I have seen my miracle happen. I have seen mom improving to nothing to everything. Now she's in a position where I know in, I think, a couple of weeks, maximum in a month, she will be screaming out my name, and she will be just absolutely on her 2 feet, and she will be, my Sherni will be back. My tiger will be out there just saying, I'm ready to fight the world. In this process, something more happened. I have to continue the story. Wait. And for the people who had nothing to say or had not bothered to care, I have nothing for you. My mom will take care of that. And yeah, so that's it. So yeah, oh yeah, oh sorry, I had to also tell you something so shitty that happened during this point. So I think when mom was not getting well, my nanny is in Nasik, by the way. We got a news that she fell in the bathroom. My bathroom trauma doesn't end, does it? She fell, she slipped basically, and she got hurt near her eyebrow and here, like around her eye and stuff, and she hurt her back. Dude, just think of this. When trouble hits you, trouble really hits you hard. Like, anyway, she was hospitalized. Thank God we have cousins there. We have family there who took care of her. Thankful to them too. I have this cousin there. Especially, I have to give her a big thanks, Sarika, who has always checked on me and always given me the news of what's happening there. And my nanny, being a sweetheart, she actually pulled off herself. She is fine right now, and as we are giving her good news, she's also getting better. So that is also good. So everything ever since we've come to India, touch wood, touch wood, touch wood, has been going in the positive direction. And you know, the popularity my mother has is insane, that her friends actually came to the airport to see her just before she got into the ambulance to go to the hospital again. And we had to put her in the hospital not because she had some problem, it's because she had come from a very long journey and it could have been traumatic, and especially considering it's the brain that has been affected. So that needed to be taken care of, and also certain procedures needed to have attention of the doctors so that they could take a final call on her. And soon she'll be home, like I said, and we will start we'll continue her physio and voice therapy so that she's absolutely fine. And my sweetheart, my anchor, my best friend, above all best friends, will be back, and she will be outright making me my favorite Sindhi curry in the kitchen. I can't wait for that day. I'm absolutely looking forward to that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Yeah, so basically that is my story. I know it has been too long if you are still hanging on to this, but having said that, thank you for watching this in the end. And I am going to actually after this be posting all the travel vlogs that I made. I'm going to edit each one of them and I'm going to start posting from in a couple of days, because it wasn't, life doesn't stop here. My mom always said that you need to keep moving on, and like it's God's plan, everything is going to be absolutely fine in life. And this year, I want to tell you one more last thing, that 2025 has been the most shittiest year, not just for me, but for a lot of people that I know, and for the world in general, considering there were so many wars, earthquakes, natural disasters, so many things that happened in the world in general. Also, personally, people have gone through a lot, and it's not been an easy year. When I say that, I know more than 10 people in my life who have gone through a very, very traumatic time, and it's been difficult. However, I hope the coming year from 2026, everything just becomes better and better, because this year God, just end it. It has been so hard. And I want my light, my shining armor to be back. To be back in her best. Like, I really want my lady, my mom, to be absolutely perfect. And yeah, so I have to also thank Dr. Ashok and Dr. Surya who brought mom back. Lastly, they actually were the most caring doctors who were so professional and so amazing that they got mom back with everything. And also they carry all the equipment possible that would be required in terms of if anything goes down south. But they were absolutely, and mom did not need anything, so God has been kind. But they were very good with her and they were absolutely amazing. And I can't be grateful and thankful to the people who have been a part of this journey. And yeah, oh, there is one last mention. I'm so sorry. Before I end this video, there are two people actually that I have to especially thank. One is Christian, who was next to my mom's bed in the isolation area, who was a sweetheart. Every time he had my number, so every time mom would do something amazing, he would text me or secretly take a picture, which you can't take pictures inside the hospital, but take a picture and send it to me and say that your mom is doing really well, it's been amazing, and she's getting better. Poor guy had a very bad accident and he's been in that hospital for 4 months, and I only pray for him that he gets out now, because he was actually a God's messenger when he was next to mom, because in the entire day you couldn't know what's happening with mom. So every time there was something that would happen, he would always message me or I would message him to check on mom, and that was amazing. And mom's nurse, Dunya, her name was Dunya, okay, Dunya's world, but in Spanish I don't know what that means. But Dunya was a sweetheart. When we were leaving the hospital, she actually had tears in her eyes that she would miss mom. Imagine, without even talking to her, without the communication gap of Spanish and English, but still that emotion connected to her. It's insane how she was so emotional when we were leaving. So yeah, it was amazing. Every person in this journey has been so beautifully crafted. Like I say, this is a stage of life. God is the director. We're just actors in the stage of life, and life is just moving, and we just have to believe in his story and just keep acting and enacting. And we have to encourage ourselves every single time, because there is nothing in this world that can take away from the faith that you believe that everything will be fine. Yes, blind faith is not good, but just have faith that miracles can happen, and they really can. While mom was getting treated, there was a 14-year-old girl in one of the beds. Her mother used to come every day to see her. She didn't know English, I didn't know Spanish, but all we connected was on our emotions, and we would just hug each other and give that strength. And I would just say that you see so many stories around you and you feel small, but every story has their lessons to be learned. Unfortunately, that girl didn't make it. A lot of people around I have seen crying, I've seen people lose their loved ones, I have seen people getting discharged, I have seen hospitals in and out, and I know it is not a good place to be, but it is, however, the most honest place in this world beyond any place, where you really see a very different side of the world that possibly nothing can teach you, but it can teach you so many things. That's it for this video. It has been a journey, so thank you for being a part of it, and I will be posting all my travel stories very soon, and I will keep you updated, and yeah, we shall continue.